Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
When it comes to towing, seeing is believing. That's why Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology offers up to 8 available cameras for 14 unique views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Learn more about Chevy Trucks at Chevy.com. Safety or driver assistance features are no substitute for the driver's responsibility to operate the vehicle in a safe manner. Read the Vehicle Owner's Manual for important feature limitations and information.
There's no better feeling than a personal win, and the State Farm Personal Price Plan can help you do just that. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Right, so it's time to do a preview of the Liverpool District Premier League this year, and joining us is our friend, and I'm going to use the word he just laughed at last time, the doyen of cricket on Liverpool and Merseyside. Yeah, you can't see him all shaking his bloody head again now. But Mr. Tom Evans is joining us, who's been running his mega thread on Twitter and through his Merseyside Cricket Online website over the last few weeks, which has been phenomenal, previewing clubs all around Liverpool and the area. And he's going to join us and talk about the Premier League itself. How are you doing, Tom?
I'm very well, thank you, Ian. Yeah, thank you for having me on again. Thank you, Hugh.
Absolute pleasure, mate. And the thread's been phenomenal. I mean, I think you've almost got all those green boxes ticked off now, haven't you?
I have, yeah. I've got 3 more left to publish. So, yeah, we are recording this the Wednesday before the season was due to start, so on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, due to publish. And yeah, all written. So yeah, it's been a labour of love as always. The difficult bit comes when, the actual season starts and I have to keep going. That's the problem. Yeah,
most definitely. The nice thing is, for the first time in our preview recordings, would you believe, I'm looking at Hugh, looking at yourself, and looking at me, and we've all actually got sunshine outside our houses in 3 different parts of the country, which is just unreal at the moment, isn't it?
Very welcome as well, because it's been a pretty miserable couple of months.
Yeah, without it. Is there anybody in the Liverpool Prem who is even close to playing this weekend, if they could, as far as you're aware?
I think, to be honest, a couple of clubs have arranged their cup games for this weekend.
The Ray
Digman Cup, yeah. What they've done is there was a weekend in May the 18th, that was set aside to play the first round of cup games on a Saturday. The comp has bumped the April the 20th fixtures to May the 18th. Mm-hmm. But I think there's a couple of clubs, I'm not sure which ones, but I've seen a couple advertising that they are playing their cup games on Saturday. I mean, obviously it's limited overs, so, they can get a shortened game on, and I think with the weather being as it is, some clubs are going to have to accept that cup games are going to be shortened a bit. But if they can fit a T20 in on one of the side wickets, then they'll do that, and get it out of the way.
Yeah, our friends in Cornwall would like to fit some T20s in, but they've just been wiped out their first 3 or 4 weeks of their season, which they really do as well. Yeah, they had their T20 competition before the league season started, and they just called it off. Just said, forget it, it's not going to happen. But we're going to get going properly on the 27th, fingers crossed now, and the season will get underway. Let's have a look around the league then, Tom, and have a look at who the sort of main movers over the winter have been, and the sort of ins and outs that you've picked up as the ones that have stood out as a highlight, shall we call them?
Well, at the top end of the Prem, the defending champions Ormskirk, obviously still going to have a very strong side. They've lost a couple of their top order batters. Alex and Rob Rankin have decided to move on to Liverpool Cricket Club in the first division. I don't detect any concern around Ormskirk that they'll be missed, but they've got plenty of strength and depth in terms of the batting. And if it's a similar year weather-wise to last year, then Ormskirk's seam attack are going to be very strong again. Another club with a similar kind of a similar kind of profile in terms of the balance of their side and the balance of the attack is Lee. I think Lee are going to be incredibly strong this year. They've got Matty McKinnon, who's obviously is retired from Derbyshire. He will be available more or less all season. He's doing some coaching now as well. If they can get him out for every game this season, he's going to score an awful lot of runs and take a lot of wickets as well. They've got a very strong seam attack too. The new captain, Finn Hulbert, is a sort of ideal for kind of a cloudy day with a damp wicket. He's a sort of a nagging, like, wicket to wicket line. They've got a couple of taller, faster lads as well. It feels like Lee tick a lot of the boxes for me. Northern will obviously be very strong as well. They've been really the cup team over the last few years. Their captain, James Cole, he's of the opinion, and I can't disagree with him, that they've been one of the strongest cup teams in the country over the last few years. Obviously, winning last year. They'll be very strong again. They've got their overseas Aussie Alex Vincent back. He was excellent as an all-rounder in the cups in particular. I'm quite interested by two teams who were sort of outside the running last year in Formby and Birkenhead Park. A lot of people are talking about those. Formby have got Ian Cobain Jr. in as captain. Obviously after his county career with Gloucestershire and various T20 franchises around the world sort of wound down last year, and he's come in as captain. They've got a very strong top order themselves as well. Young all-rounder Ollie Sutton and Cobain, I think they shared 6 or 7 centuries between them last year. They always got off to a good start. The only difficulty for them is bowling sides out. I think they will score a lot of runs, and they've got batters who can turn a game around very quickly. Birkenhead Park are stronger now than they were when they finished 5th in the Prem 2 years ago and were relegated on an off-field punishment, a technicality. But they've strengthened. They've got an overseas pro from Sri Lanka, Malinda Pushpakamara, who played a few test matches.
He's got 936 first-class wickets, according to your... I mean, that's a bit of a calibre. Yeah. and you know, there's always a little bit of uncertainty about overseas pro, like how are they actually going to go in our conditions in a club environment. You know, you never quite know. I don't think anybody expected Sumit Virika to be as good as he has been at Wallasey over the years, for example. But if Pushpakamara can do at Birkenhead anything like what Virika's done at Wallasey, as a similar kind of player, then he will win games for them single-handed. And they've signed Andrew Clark as a top-order batter and off-spinner from Northern as well. That's a good signing. That's a very good signing. He's a lot of experience there. They've got quite a sort of a dashing, aggressive top-order Birkenhead Park. And, you know, the captain, Steve Hurd, wants them to play aggressive cricket as well. But they've got a couple of more experienced, sort of steady players in the middle order. Tom Foster, who was captain last time, has come back after a year away from the comp as well. So they look a very strong side too. I honestly think they'll be right up there in the mix. Without a doubt. And I think Pushpakamara is the standout overseas that's been brought in from absolutely nowhere into the league, isn't he? Absolutely, yeah. He's got Joe Root out twice. So I can't imagine that wouldn't be in the batters' heads as they're going out to face him, you know. Yeah, definitely. Somebody who knows how to play. He's one of those players who I think, to use your word, look, it could be hit and miss because we just don't know with these guys who come in for the first time. But yeah, when I just look at that 936 first-class wickets under somebody's belt, you just can't argue with that sort of talent, can you? No, absolutely not. And, you know, he's clearly been good enough to get picked that many times for his district side in Sri Lanka as well. And, you know, and obviously for the test team too. So, you know, it's a country that produces a lot of good finger spinners. I wonder if he'd have played more tests if they hadn't have been coming through at the same time as Wangana Herath, for example. Yeah. So it's sort of the Gary Keedy argument, isn't it? If his career hadn't coincided with Graham Swan's, then how many times would he have played for England? So yeah, I'll have to wait. I'm excited to see what he can do. It could be quite destructive, could be quite messy for batters.
There's a cloud there in that it was picked for the Major League Cricket last year in the States, which I think is that in August Major League Cricket tournament, in America. So I don't know whether that's going to, because I know Alex Hales is signed up for that as well, which may impact some of his summer. So I'd be interested in if, he might get lost for a period. That could be crucial.
The captain, Steve Hurd, was very, after they got, last time they were in the Prem, they were overseas, went home or went to play in a different competition partway through the season. Steve Hurd was very kind of insistent that Pushpakamara would be available all year. So
Cool. That's great. That's good news.
So the other one that you mentioned though for Birkenhead Park, and you've spoken to James Cole at Northern. Are they disappointed to see him leave to go to Birkenhead Park? He's been a key part of their club for a while, hasn't he?
Yes, yeah, he was a very. I think he was their highest scorer when they last won the title in 2021. Always very consistent run scorer. He was injured a lot last year, so I don't know if James hadn't planned to lose him just yet, but he sort of has had a succession plan in mind. You know, he's signed a young off-spinning all-rounder, George Hill. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, George Hill from Elton, who's in the Lancashire setup. But he's just a lad, so he's not going to fill the gap entirely. But that was kind of the succession plan at Northern.
I think the other area that we've not touched on is up at Southport and Birkdale, where there'll be some names that people will recognise with the Flintoff boys playing up there.
Yes, they're going very well. They're both in the Lancashire second 11 game this week. They're going extremely well. Southport,
Rocky Flintoff, cracking name. Caught my eye. I mean, I didn't realise. He's only 16 playing. He got 76 as a 15-year-old in the comp last year. So that's a hell of an achievement. Didn't play a huge amount. I think that was one innings. Yeah, one innings in the comp last year, 76. So if he can keep going upwards, he's going to be one hell of a cricketer. It's just how much he's going to be available. I assume he's at a rather illustrious school and in the Lancs setup. So might not get too many games out of him, but certainly he'll be one to watch when he's available. It's
an interesting thing happening with the second 11 championship this year, which is their games have moved from, they're not Monday to Thursday anymore, they're Tuesday to Friday. So if you're a steamer who's playing for a county second 11, you're not going to be bowling on a Saturday. Corey and Rocky Flintoff, that's the position they're in. Josh Boyd and the left armour at Wigan, I noticed he's in the Lancashire, the second 11 side this week, and Tom Aspinall is at Newton the Willows as well. So that's four Premier Division bowlers who, if they were playing on Saturday, well, presumably if their side was batting for all of the last day, they would be allowed to bowl on Saturday. But Lancashire won't want them bowling the same 2 days in a row. So
absolutely,
it'd be interesting to see how that affects some teams and their plans, because can't really rely on having a county adjacent seamer bowling for you on Saturday.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Opel, the first over-the-counter daily birth control pill available in the U.S. Opel is FDA approved, full prescription strength and estrogen-free. Plus, there's no prescription needed. Finally, the days of needing a prescription for birth control are over. Opel is available online and at most major retailers. Take control of your health and reproductive journey with Opel. Birth control in your control. Use code BIRTHCONTROL for 25% off your first month of Opel at opel.com.
Be interested to keep an eye on that, without a doubt, definitely say. We're a bit of a Radio 5 link there into the young prospects in the league, and there's the Flintoff boys are obviously up there to keep an eye on. Anybody else in particular you've spotted, Hugh, that we want to keep an eye on this year?
Well, you've got Adnan Mikhail, who obviously is a big name from the Flintoff connection. I think he's 18, 19, something like that, in the Lancs League. I think he got a scholarship at a school as well. What's been nice to see, he was obviously plucked out of that programme as a kid with potential, and he's proved it there. He's got 398 runs. He left arm seamer, isn't he? And he's some wickets as well last year for Wigan. So is he staying at Wigan, and is he going to crack on?
Yeah, their new captain, Jordan Hampson, is very keen to see what he can do. Adnan's been working a lot on his bowling over the winter. He was very impressed with his, like you say, his quite destructive middle order batting, but he thinks he's got more to offer with the ball. Jordan Hampson, he's taken over from Aaron Redmond, the former New Zealand Test players captain, but Redmond is still around as well.
But I mean, I've got a fair few young lads jumping out. It's hard to pluck out young players, you're guessing ages and stuff, and occasionally it goes horribly wrong. But we've got Evan, is it with or something like that for Colwyn Bay, 18. He got 200 runs at 22 last year as an 18-year-old. I'm just sorting by runs here. We've got 20-year-old Sebastian Botts at New Brighton. I don't know whether he was no, he's not an overseas. I think he's a young lad. So averaging 26, 500 runs. Matt Hurst, I think he's still quite young, isn't he? For Lee, nearly 600 runs at 45. So there's some good young cricketers coming in. There's 17-year-old Luke Prescott there as well. He snuck in 300 runs again at 17, but as a 17-year-old, these averages quickly jump up. Just being able to play in these kind of leagues proves that they're good cricketers.
Yeah, Evan With was at Colwyn Bay, who got relegated on the last day last year, but he's made the move to Wallasey.
Sorry, yeah. He's moved to Wallasey.
Yes, Wallasey they're in a sort of difficult position. They've got Summit Lyrica back, who will obviously, if he's anything like full fitness, he will win a lot of games for them.
Yeah,
single-handed with both bat and ball. Jamie Crawley though has left. He's gone to Scotland to try and sort of force his way into the Scotland national side, which a lot of people feel he deserves a better crack at. He's been doing very well in the sort of the regional T20 up there over the last couple of summers. And he made a century at Lords for Scotland A the other week. So, but best of luck to him, but he'll be missed from Wallasey and missed at the camp. Bastian Boats and his older brother Louis, they've both left New Brighton this year, gone to the Manchester League. Luke Prescott, I believe, is Red Triangle, isn't he?
Yep.
They're in Division 1. They were also relegated on the last day. It was quite a dramatic last day. That and also the other one you mentioned was Matty Hurst, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Again, if Lee somehow see a lot of him through this summer, then they're going to have one hell of a top order with him and McKinnon and Carl Brown as well. But I get the impression Hurst is pretty much first choice for Lancashire now.
Yeah, well, he played 16 innings last year, so it's how much you can get out of him, but. Yeah, he's certainly done very well. He's
sort of overtaken George Lavelle, I think, as the next wicketkeeper off the cab rank at Lancashire, which is going to have the opposite effect in the comp because it means George Lavelle will be available a lot more for Ormskirk, which is the club that brought him through. So he's a very classy batter, George Lavelle.
Yeah, well, he's not. Matty has not started wonderfully, so there's hope for them yet. But let's hope he can crack on for Lancs. And started with a Norton and 11 for Lancs, which is not exactly what you'd want, but hopefully he can really kick on and cement his place in the Lancashire team.
He's very highly regarded. He's a good keeper as well. Very good keeper.
And what about the bowlers? Anyone in particular there standing out? Or there's a lot of very experienced bowlers, I'll use that phrase very carefully, in the Liverpool comp who've been taking wickets for years, basically. Is there any youngsters been jumping out to you there at all, Hugh?
It's the same throughout the leagues. Batters come through younger and bowlers emerge later. Louis Johnson at Lee, 19, I think, 15 wickets last year, and obviously we mentioned Adnan. But no, that's pretty much it in terms of younger lads. But it's such a left arm spin-dominated league, a left-arm orthodox. It's just looking at the overall stats there in terms of wickets last year. It's just left-arm spinner, left-arm spinner, left-arm spinner, right-arm spinner, left-arm spinner, left-arm spinner, left-arm spinner. So, that's such a crucial role. So, and that's a hard craft to learn to be consistent. So, and you can go on a lot longer than you can with an out-and-out seam. So it seems that's the dominant bowling craft in the league.
Yeah, Louis Johnson is a left-arm seamer who Lee actually they're quite looking forward to seeing what he can do. He's spent the winter in Australia. So come back. So another left-arm seamer who won't be on your Premier Division stats because he was at Sefton Park in Division 1 last year is Leo Spilsbury.
Right.
He's a young lad about 17 or 18. He's signed for Newton Llewellows this year. So I've watched him at Sefton Park a couple of times. He's one of those, I see him one season, then I see him the next season, and you can tell from the sidelines he's got noticeably faster, noticeably taller. There's a bit more kind of venom to him. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do.
What is it about the comp that, we've just been discussing Norfolk, and that's more seam heavy. What is it about the comp that suits the spinners so much? Why are they such a dominant force?
Well, it's good wickets. For a start, it's quite often difficult for seamers to get much out of them. It's timed cricket still, so you can have your left arm spinner, whether it's a pro or a homegrown talent, you can have them bowling from one end all day if you want. And I think like most lower level or club cricket, high level club cricket even, most of the batters are still stand right-handed, and you don't get as many left-handers as you do in the professional game. So the left-arm spinners have got more ways of getting them out because they're turning the ball away from the bat.
Yeah,
and I think there's a bit of a circular logic as well because clubs see that left-arm spinners are getting all the wickets, and therefore when they're looking for an overseas pro, they go for a left-arm spinner.
Yeah.
And they get an excellent left-arm spinner who takes a lot of wickets, and the next club will come and sees, oh, that left-arm spinner got a lot of wickets, we need to get one of those.
Well, let's get another one.
If you're paying big money for a pro who you're counting on to win your games, you don't necessarily want a batter who might get a grubber first ball or a seamer who might be coming to you after 8 overs and say, I think I'm done. You want someone who you can get guaranteed value for money out of, I guess.
You're getting your money's worth as well as the quality, without a shadow.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's not changed in many, many years, Hugh. Many years.
Yeah, but it's certainly, I think of all the leagues we've looked at, it's by far the most spin-dominated league, I would say. And, it's just an interesting anomaly and good practice for batsmen, coming into the league. They need to be able to play against the left armer, don't they? That's the key to it. You're going to see a lot of it, so practice hard.
We should see if Rob Key wants to send all the England batters up to the Liverpool comp for a couple of weeks and just practice against slow left armers.
Well, he's certainly been paying some attention.
They get plenty of choice to practice.
But if you look at the side that won the league, if you look at Ormskirk, they have a left-arm spinner in Toby Bulcock. They're a very experienced left-arm spinner, very good one. But most of their wickets were taken by their 4 seamers. Scott Lee, Sam Marsh, Jerry Barnes.
So they spread the wicket. There wasn't a single seamer sort of dominating, but they spread the wickets out between them.
They spread it around, yeah. That says something about the way they prepared their wicket, I think.
I was going to say, it's a different track at Ormskirk to quite a lot of the others in the comp, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but with one exception where they conceded 315 and then chased it. That was a crazy afternoon. It was actually a very low-scoring wicket.
Definitely.
Oh, such a clutch off-season pickup, Dave.
I was worried we'd bring back the same team.
I meant those blackout motorized shades.
Blinds.com made it crazy affordable to replace our old blinds.
Hard to install?
No, it's easy. I installed these and then got some for my mom. She talked to a design consultant for free and scheduled a professional measure and install.
Hall of Fame son.
They're the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings in the world.
Blinds.com is the GOAT.
Shop Blinds.com's primetime kickoff event. Save up to 50% off select styles, plus doorbusters. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Okay, let's have a look at the pros of the overseas. We've already talked about Pushpa Kamara, who's gone to Birkenhead Park. Is there anybody new who's come into the comp this year that you've got your eye on, Tom, or is it going to be the same old, in a nice way?
Well, to be honest, it's been more a case of teams
retaining,
going back to pros that they've already had before.
Yeah.
For example,
Northern.
Off the top of my head, Northern having Alex Vincent, yeah. I'm not sure if he's a pro. I think he's an overseas amateur, but I don't want to get anyone in trouble by using the word pro loosely. It's a touchy subject. But overseas player, yes. And it's been more a case of people going back to what they know or not going with an overseas at all. Lee don't have one, for example. Ormskirk and having one this year, they generally don't. The top sides, tend to get by themselves. So I'm trying to sort of mentally go down my list now and think of anybody else in the Prem who's... Rainford are getting one for the first time. They're getting a wicketkeeper batter. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. And New Brighton have also got a left-arm spinner coming in. They're going to be a Sri Lankan left-arm spinner who they're going to be relying on for...
Rainford have got Samapit Joshi from Rajasthan.
That's it, yes. Yeah. It's the first time in years that they've had an overseas player. They had such an excellent season last year. They would never have, newly promoted. They finished 4th and won the Red Eggman Cup. Without an overseas pro, without a single batter topping, I think, 400 runs. So, is that a mark of intent from John Dotters and the guys there? I read it more as a mark of, look, we can't rely on being able to do this. This all coming off in the same way again. Yeah, we need to, we need to bring our team up a bit to maintain this level we've got at. We did exceptionally well last year. Yeah. Now, what can we do to improve on what we've done, and bringing in that quality to the batting lineup is the way to go about it. I take it
definitely.
But like Newton and Willows have gone with Safi Abdullah again, who they had last year and was previously at Birkenhead Park. Southport haven't been able to get Aryan Jayal back which I'm really disappointed about because I love watching him bat.
Well, I think he didn't do a coaching badge or something, so it was a bit of a visa issue possibly, or worse. So yeah, I think they were disappointed with that.
Yes, yeah, but he's an incredible talent, and whether in a couple of years he's still looking for an overseas club, or whether he's got more lucrative ways of spending his summer, I don't know. But Wallasey going with Rurka again, going with what they know. Wigan have gone with Avinash Yadav again, left-arm spinner who they had in their last promotion season in 2019. So it's been more sort of tried and tested up at the top end of the comp.
Rurka was injured for a fair bit last season. Is that right? If I remember rightly.
Yes, I think he was restricted to batting only in some games, and even when he was bowling, a couple of exceptions. He's good enough to always win games, Rurka, but he wasn't as good. He was merely very good, whereas the 2 seasons before he was unplayable.
So they're hoping for a fully fit Rurka this year and could cause a lot of problems.
Absolutely, he always will, and I think everyone knows to watch out for him. Batters seemed to go after him a bit more last year. Mm-hmm. Whether, obviously the wickets were nowhere near as good generally last year, but his economy rate went up. He was conceding more runs. Whether that's because of the injury, because he wasn't as quick, wasn't landing it on the spot quite as much, or whether it's a sign of more intent from batters. This is the main man. If we take him down, then we'll go a long way in this game.
Yeah.
But
You say Jahal's not going back to Southport, but they've also lost JJ Fielding, who was in the top 5 of runs last year. Quite a big loss there. Jahal scored massive runs in the first half of last season, but then obviously losing JJ at the same time, quite a lot of runs disappearing there, isn't there?
Yes, they've still got a lot of. It's quite a young side, Southport and Birkdale. They've got obviously David Snellgrove I don't think he'd describe himself as quite young, but with the exception of him and Chris Firth, the off spinner, there's a lot of young players. Obviously, they've got the Flintoff brothers who are in the Lancashire Academy. They've got Basil Sultan, Jack Stanley, who are kind of Lancashire adjacent as well. And I just think it'll be more of the same from them. They'll back the young players to get the job done for them.
Let's get round to who's going to shock 1 or 2 people in the comp. I've got some thoughts on that, quite clear ones, but from yourself, Tom, which clubs do you think are going to maybe create 1 or 2 surprises in the league this year?
Well, everybody's saying Birkenhead Park, which means they're less likely to create a surprise, because if you're expecting them to do it, then it won't be much of a surprise. But they will be very strong, and the same for Newton Willows, same for the other promoted side. It's difficult to see a weak link in either of those 11s. To be honest with you, they'll both be very strong. Will Rainford be able to keep up the surprise act from last year? Will New Brighton struggle again, as they have done, having lost a few key players? But the beauty of this game is you never know. A lot of clubs have sort of changed captain and changed things up. But if I was going to pick a team who's going to make a lot of progress, it would be Birkenhead Park. I think they'll finish in the top 5 again.
And if you're going to pick a team that's going to make a lot of progress like Birkenhead Park, are you going to put your head on the spit and tell me who's going to win the comp?
I am going to go for Lee. I think partly superstitious wise, it's been a long time since anybody's retained the comp.
Yeah.
Nobody's done it since Bootle in the mid-2000s. And partly because I think Lee have got what Ormskirk have got, but they've got more so in most departments.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. I have a funny feeling that this could be possibly one of the most competitive years we've had in a long time. We had quite a big gap from the Ormskirks at the top last year all the way down to Colwyn Bay, and Oral Red Triangle went down. But even Rainhill and New Brighton were sort of still in that mix in the last couple of weeks to go down, weren't they? I think that gap from top to bottom, the competitiveness of this league is going to be really tight this year, with teams coming up who've brought players in without a shadow, and then teams who've came 3rd and 4th, Lee and Rainford consolidating, but also just taking that next step.
Absolutely, and it's a pre-season cliche, but anybody can beat anybody in that division, genuinely, and it's going to be, it depends if Lee could catch a couple of sides on a good weekend and lose a couple of games, and then they could get a couple of rained off, and it's quite easy to. You'd be quite quickly out of the running. With it covering such a big geographic area, you can get games rained off in the Wigan League side of things, whereas it's bright sunshine in Southport and Formby. And I think that's sort of behind the decision to if teams are rained off on the 27th on the first week, they're allowed to rearrange those fixtures for later in the season. And I think that's to reflect the fact that you don't want to be punishing the sides whose grounds don't drain as well, because they're not. Southport and Thornbury, they will drain. They'll be dry with an hour's sunshine because they're on sand. Yeah. Whereas if you go further inland and higher up, or to Sefton Park, say, which is in a public park, and obviously the drainage is much more of an issue. They need a lot of sunshine, or they'll get washed out a lot more.
How are things looking? Obviously the season's been pushed back, and you mentioned that extra week. Are people's spirits on the rise? Is things looking better than they were?
I think they are. It doesn't say much. Like, what cricket captains are like. They go way over the top when they have a bit of rain, and they go way over the top when they have a bit of sunshine. And anything can happen between now and the 27th. We're 10 days away as we're recording here. Yeah. So 10 days of sunshine will be absolutely fine for the 27th, I predict.
That's good news.
And as Tom said, without any shadow of a doubt, the comp is one of those, whilst it might not cover the same geographical distance as the Lincolnshire League or the East Anglia League, the difference in the type of pitch makes a substantial difference because Colwyn Bay, Southport, the guys who are right on the coast, completely different to when you go inland to Rain Hill and further on to Wigan.
Absolutely, I think that about a third of the teams are on sand and the rest are on clay, so it doesn't compare. There's completely different factors when having to dry the grounds off.
And in terms of the season going forward, I look at the top two from last year, Tom, Ormskirk and Northern, who will be without a doubt going headstrong into the national competitions again. Do you think they've got the squads to maintain that? Because clearly the national competitions can drain.
Yeah, I think Northern certainly have proved they've got the squad for that, going a long way. Obviously, winning the Lancashire Cup, they were beaten on a bowl out in the national, which it can happen with anybody's game, isn't it? They deliberately set their squad up to be able to compete in the cups, and it's a really big deal for all the top clubs I know. And Ormskirk and Northern play each other in the first round of the Lancs Cup, which isn't ideal in one way.
Which is a great draw, isn't it?
Yeah.
It'll definitely be a good way to get the season underway when it comes to the cup competitions, that won't it?
Certainly, yeah, it's a big one first up, because they both know that they've got the chance to eliminate one of their main competitors at that stage,
Yeah, clearly. So we're a week and a half away from the start of the Liverpool comp. I was due to be at Birkenhead Park this weekend, and unfortunately weather has well and truly got that out the way. I've now got a choice of 4 leagues starting this weekend to go and visit, and each one of them's a bloody long drive away in comparison to going up to what almost would be home for me, and up to the northwest, and do various family things while I'm up there as well. But we'll definitely be up there. I'll be up there in the coming weeks at least to come and see a couple of games as well, and we'll catch up, Tom. Thanks for your insight and your knowledge once again. For anyone who's not followed Tom on Twitter, why not? Just bloody well follow him. And if you're not subscribed to Merseyside Cricket Online, get on it. He's doing a fabulous job in just buoying up not just the Premier League, but cricket overall on Merseyside. The previews have not just covered the comp, have they, Tom? They've covered all the other clubs as well.
And trying to expand a bit into the local sides in the Cheshire League and the Southport and District League as well. I'd be spreading myself too thin if I took it all on at once. But clubs like Oxton, Nest and Widnes in the Cheshire League, they're expecting to compete in the top half of the Prem there, and it's also a very high standard, so it's only fair that they get the coverage too.
Most definitely.
It's a strange format in that league this year. They're doing the splitting the format between win-lose-draw cricket for half the season and win-lose cricket.
Oh, they've changed that.
Season. I think they're taking the model of the Birmingham League, I think.
Yeah, East Anglia. There's to be fair, there's more leagues do that than you realise. Yeah, we've come across a lot more of that. Yeah, they're marking the scorecard, so I can't tell. But yeah, apart from that.
Thanks for your time, Tom.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Tom.
Always a pleasure. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the Premier League Cricket Show. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future episodes and stay updated on all the latest news, views and discussions from around the cricket's Premier Leagues. And be sure to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram at TPL Cricket Show on both. Join the conversation, share your thoughts and connect with us and your fellow Premier League cricket fans. And hey, if you enjoyed the show, why not show us some love? Leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast platform, as it helps other potential listeners to find us when they're searching for cricketing podcasts. Thanks again for being part of the Premier League Cricket Show family, and until next time, have a good one.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.